Kakamega County has employed healthcare workers through backdoor, that you can just go to a county and then you give a public service official some bribes, and then they will shortlist and then do some fake hiring process, and then you will be hired, and then you will have a job. So a lot of healthcare workers were employed through backdoor. And this story is getting public attention as if Kakamega County is the only county that does that. It is not just Kakamega County. We are living in a corrupt country in every sector. I've been talking about corruption in the judiciary, and we may be fooled to believe that it is the only sector where corruption occurs. Corruption is everywhere, in our counties, in the national government, in the security sector, everywhere. And so some people don't have a job. They've not had a job for a very long time. Since you graduated, it's now 7 years, 8 years, 9 years. I met somebody 15 years. The guy has never gotten a job, and he believes that one day he will get a job. You know, he's operating through luck. He doesn't work the way the county and the national government works. These county governments, the national government, and everywhere, there is corruption to help you get a job. And if you master that corruption that happens, you'll get a job within 1-2 years, or even 6 months, or immediately after they advertise. And then you go to the county, and then you ask for the public service board, county public service board, and then you take some bribes, sometimes even 200, 300,000, and you give them. You'll get a job. You'll get a job. Okay? Your problem is that you want to be clean. You want to follow due process. You have been told that you are a Christian. Now you should only do very correct and clean things and you will get a job. No. The counties are corrupt and they are employing people who are ready to bribe. I know that if I want a job, that is something I know. If I want a job right now within the county government, I know what I should just do to the county public service board officials, and then I'll get a job, right? Now look at what happened in Kakamega. The healthcare department wanted healthcare workers. They wanted doctors, nurses, clinical officers, and all the healthcare workers, the vacancies that were there, okay? Now, when they want those healthcare workers, what do? According to what you know, they should advertise, okay? And then they should call you for interviews. Then you will attend the interviews. Then you will be shortlisted. Then you will be employed, right? But what happens is this, in reality, okay, it's not what you know. In reality is they identify that we need healthcare workers. Okay, they have identified the need for healthcare workers. And so the county public service officials are told that these vacancies are there. Now, once they know, before they publish or they advertise for those interviews, they go and tell their friends, their cronies, I think people who can bribe, they are told that we have these vacancies, look for money and give us. Right? And so once they have identified the people that they can employ, people have bribed them. These are county public service officials. These are people working for the government. They are being bribed before they advertise. Now they come and they advertise just to paint a good picture of the county government. Now they want to appear like they are people of integrity, right? Now they have advertised to just give you a picture that they are doing the right thing. Now what do you do as a person who loves the Lord, as a person who is a Christian, as a person who just wants things the right way? You go and you apply. And once you apply, you know they have identified their people and they have told some other people that friends are already invited, relatives are invited, and if you are not a friend or a relative, they tell you to pay some bribes, okay? And so these jobs are already filled. These jobs have people already. So the advertisements are happening when these vacancies are already filled. And so as a Christian, you attend the interview that they called, okay? And then you sit there, very learned, you have your degree, and then they ask you, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And you say, I will have gotten my master's and I will be very competent in the healthcare department. You even tighten your suit. And then they ask you another question. When you have a patient who has come in an emergency, what do you do? And then you keep answering questions in a very competent manner because you think you are competent, right? Shock on you. When shortlisting comes or when the employment happens, what happens? They give employment to their friends, to their relatives, and to people who paid money right? Not you who went there with very correct answers, appearing like you want to succeed in the healthcare department. That is what happened in Kakamega County. And a lot of people were employed through backdoor in that process. And those ones who went genuinely without paying bribes, who are not friends, those who are not relatives, those who went in a genuine manner for interviews, they were not employed. Now, how did this matter come to the public? Because, there are people who noticed that. Of course, there are people who always notice that, and there are some disagreements within the county government. And so we must have that one whistleblower. There is always one whistleblower who will come out and say the county employed people through backdoor. And so when it was known that people are employed through backdoor, what does the government do? The government has tactics. The government, be it county government or the national government, the government always has tactics. It comes out now with another advertisement to now distract people. And these people who are employed through backdoor, they are retained. And that is how it is done. And there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. You think there's something you will do as an individual to a government that has enforcement with guns, a government that can enforce things. You are an individual fighting a government. You can't. You cannot. The government itself is corrupt. And so that is what happens across other counties. This is not just Kakamega, by the way. We made it a Kakamega issue because there was really public outcry and some people felt like they were shortchanged in the government, okay? But this is something that happens across all counties. For example, in Siaya, it was even on a massive scale. Do you know what happened in Siaya? Siaya County Public Service Board officials were told to employ about 100 to 150 healthcare workers to cover the gap that was there. And because these people are hungry and they go to government so that they can get bribes and get those privileges, they over-advertised. In fact, I hear that they created an alternative, something like a public service board that is alternative to the one that is legitimate. And instead of issuing letters to 100 to 150 healthcare workers, they now inflated and they advertised 500 positions. So you see, people are hungry, they want to eat, to the extent that they can now advertise for fake positions. Now, I want you to see how people in this country know that jobs are bought. A lot of people within Siaya County bought those jobs for between 300 to 350,000. A lot of them. In fact, over 500 people, they bought those jobs. And people are employed en masse. And then they realized that there are no salaries. And so the county had to fire some people. And so you can see Siaya, it was done on a massive scale than what happened in Kakamega County. It is just a similar thing. But the Kakamega one will now go quiet because the required number of healthcare workers were employed. Now, the Siaya one cannot go quiet because a lot of bribes were given. The county public service officials ate the bribes, and therefore there will always be this outcry, and it's now revealing that jobs are bought in this country. Had this thing been done within the required number of people, like maybe 100 to 150 healthcare workers, it would have gone unnoticed. And you who doesn't know it would be thinking that if I want a job, I should wait for the advertisement. Then after advertisement, I should go apply, then go for interview. No, bro, prepare yourself with some 300,000. Go to the county and bribe these people. This is the country we live in, unfortunately. That is why we don't have competent people in these offices. Like you go to a hospital, you find that a nurse is very incompetent. Because that nurse used backdoor means to get employed. You find a doctor who is very incompetent. Because that doctor knew, after all, I will bribe and then get a job. I myself here, seated here, I know I don't have a job because I have not just bought one. Don't think that I don't have a job, I'm helpless. No. If I want a job right now within any county government, in Kakamega, in Siaya, in Homa Bay, in Machakos, in Mombasa, in Bomet, in Kisii, I can just plan and use backdoor means, then bribe county public service officials, then get a job. That is how it is done. Even in the national government, in the security sector, you have seen KDF within the police. You pay 300,000, you get a job. Within KDF, you pay like 300,000 to 500,000. You get a job. I don't know why KDF they pay more, yet the payment is so little. So you don't have a job because you don't have the ability to buy one. You will be lucky to get this thing through transparent means. And if you go to places like Nairobi, for example, Nairobi is even worse. I've talked about Kakamega and Siaya, where you can bribe public health officials and you have like legitimate certificates and you get employed. In Nairobi, even with fake certificates, you can get a job. Okay? You just go to City Hall and then you identify these City Hall officials and then you bribe them. Then you go to River Road, then you create fake certificates and then you'll get a job. If you finished Form 4, just Form 4, and you are a bright person who can speak English, okay? Or even if you are not bright, but you are just connected and you know 1, 2, 3 how to hide within the system, you go to City Hall, you bribe those City Hall officials and they will employ you, and highly qualified individuals are locked out. If I want a job in Nairobi, within Nairobi County government, I know what I'm supposed to do is not to wait for them to advertise and then I go to apply. No. I just walk to Nairobi, then go to City Hall, then identify who is the right person to bribe here. Then I will bribe them. Then I'll just wait. Then I'll get a job. It's so easy. It's so easy. That's how it is done, my brother. I am not trying to sanitize this thing and make it look like it is the right thing to do. No, but that is exactly what happens. If you are in Nairobi and you don't have a job and you have some money to bribe, do not wait. Just go to City Hall, identify a person you can bribe, and it is done. That is why in this country, we have a problem all over in the public service sector. And this thing now brings me to the issue of brain drain. I've heard people say that we are losing our competent people to foreign countries. We are losing our highly qualified people to other countries. We are not losing. These people are living in the right way and going to seek opportunities elsewhere because their place is not in this country. You've heard that we have engineers, Kenyan engineers, who are building Dubai, right? You've heard that in the defense forces, in the US Army, we have a lot of Kenyans there, right? In the UK and Australia, we have Kenyan professionals who are doing many things. Even in Canada, we have Kenyan lawyers in Canada who are doing massive things. But those people, they don't fit in the current system because the system does not favor them. The system favors people who can buy their way inside, okay? You will be lucky if you are very competent and then you buy yourself in. Or maybe you will be lucky you are highly competent and then the process is transparent and then you luckily get a job. So we should not complain about brain drain. These highly competent people who go to other countries, it is right for them to go because that is where they fit. In this country, they don't. The reason I'm saying that we should not complain about brain drain is places like maybe let's say Bomet County. In Bomet County, the corruption is even worse. It is worse because you can be given the correct appointment letter by the government. Correct appointment letter. You applied, you went for the interview, they shortlisted, now you have a TSC maybe appointment letter. And you go to Bomet County. You will find that the county have their own. You are not given even a posting letter because the county did its own internal things. There is bribery inside, and then some people are employed, some relatives, friends, or people who can bribe the public service officials. They are employed. And then you who has a legitimate letter from TSC, or you have a letter from, let's say, Afia House, they call it the Ministry of Health in our sector, okay? You have a letter, an appointment letter, a posting letter. You are told that go to that station and work. You will reach there and you find that county public service officials played their game already and they have their people. And they will tell you with your legitimate employment letter, we don't want you. And you go with your posting letter to complain and nothing will happen. Why? Because a game was played. A game that is always played. So don't joke with the county government of Bomet. And these Kalenjin counties. These Kalenjin counties, don't joke with them. They play a very dangerous game. And so sometimes I pity Kalenjins when I say, you sell land, you see in Bomet, in Bomet people sold land. You are selling land and then you bribe an official. And then when you go with a letter, you find that the jobs have been given to people who paid higher bribes. That is why Kalenjins keep losing money to politicians, like the billions that were lost in Eldoret. And the people who steal from you, you continue again electing them. Sometimes I ask myself, do these people rig themselves in or we vote for them? Because they steal from us. Kalenjins are stolen from in a very transparent way. Stealing in Kalenjin land is not hidden. Like in Kakamega, where you secretly identify an official and you bribe them. In Siaya, where it is done in secret and then you bribe them. In Kalenjin land, sometimes those things happen publicly. Okay? And then we know that you stole money. Then they come to look for votes with that money. Then they bribe you with that money. And then Kalenjins vote for them. And then you start wondering, do these people have a problem? But again, because I'm not a Kalenjin, I may not know. So you can imagine what happened in Bomet County government and what is happening in Uasin Gishu, right? We are not a country of integrity. We are a country of corruption. And this same thing happens in Kisii County, in Mombasa County, in all other counties, Turkana County. I don't just want to speak about them. But what I can tell you, if you don't have a job and you want to fit into the system, go to any county public service board and identify if bribes are done in the correct manner. Don't go to these Kalenjin counties because you will be shortchanged. Kalenjins prioritize Kalenjins and they steal from fellow Kalenjins, and then the bribes are then done in a very shoddy manner. Don't go to those Kalenjin counties. Go to maybe Kakamega County. Siaya counties are very crafty. Don't go to Siaya County. Go to maybe Homa Bay. Then go to maybe Mombasa County, Nairobi County, City Hall. In fact, that is the best place to bribe. Nairobi is the best place to bribe people. And then these neighboring counties, you can do any county. Just go there. Identify an influential person within the county government. Then arm yourself with roughly 400,000. That amount. They can ask for any amount, okay? Then tell them that you want a job. The next time they do an advertisement, they should consider you. Then they will ask you for bribes. Then give them the bribes. You will have a job within a very short time. You will have a job. That is the system we are in. Unfortunately, I'm not sanitizing it. I'm not saying that it is the right thing to do, but sadly, that is the country we are in. And that is now when you'll start understanding, when you go to these offices of the government, you find people there, they are seated. It's like they don't know what they have come to do. People are very incompetent, even in the way they handle you. Competent people who have gone to school very well and they are qualified for these jobs. They studied what we call customer relations and communication skills. These are not skills that are limited to certain professions. Every profession must understand communication skills. You must know how to relate well to people. And so, people who are qualified to handle you very well are not employed. But chaotic people who don't understand how to talk to you are the ones who are in these offices. That is why when you go to these offices and you talk to a person, you find they are addressing you with contempt. Umekuja kufanya nini hapa? Fanya raka, leta. They talk to you like you are a very useless person. It is not them. It is because of corruption. There is a bigger issue than this one. This one is just a symptom of the bigger problem. This person bought a job, and so they don't know how to address you in the right manner. You find that they are in the office, they are doing a lot of gossip, and the worst is in the hospital. By the way, as a healthcare provider, I have worked in the hospital. I know what happens there. You find nurses seated there, they are conversing and they are making stories and what have you, and then they have not maybe done very crucial things to patients, right? It is the same thing when you go maybe to these offices. Let me not mention specific offices. And then you find that two women are with wigs, and they always have wigs. I don't know why this county and national government employee women have some long wigs that are smelling like a sheep. And then they are looking at each other, they are talking. You are standing there. You need services. But they are here talking to one another, and then one of them will ask, "What do you want? What do you want? Come here. Tell us what you want." And then they will address you in a very bad manner. Then they tell you, "Go." And then they continue conversing. These people are not competent. They bought jobs. And these are not the problem. These are the symptoms. The main problem is corruption. Now, the question is, can we end corruption? I don't know. Because it is systemic and it is chronic. I don't know how. For you to succeed in this country, you have to embrace corruption. I don't know how we will end it. It is a bigger problem than we can imagine. We don't know how to start to end it. How do you start? How does the government end it? It is even in the office of the president. It is even within these places where they write corruption is not allowed here. They have written in these sectors, corruption is not allowed here. But when you go there and you bribe somebody, you get services. So it is a deeply ingrained chronic problem that affects everyone. Now, how do we end it? Nobody knows. Do you have a solution? Do you have a solution to end corruption in this country? How will you end it? Will you start with Kakamega County? Will you start with Siaya? Which county will you start with? We don't know. So accept it and know how to navigate it. If you fight it, expect some resistance. And that resistance will not be small. Politicians and people with money, people with connections will come for you. And if you don't have good defense, you are going to disappear. Right? So I'm not legitimizing this. I'm not sanitizing this. This is our problem. Learn how to navigate it. And if you want to avoid it and you want to minimize it, try to do self-employment. But again, even in that self-employment, you will have to bribe here and there. That is the country we live in, unfortunately. You are not unemployed because there are no jobs. You are unemployed because you cannot buy a job. Look for money and buy a job and get out of this mess of unemployment. Thank you for listening to me. This is Giddy Akali, and we shall meet again in another video. Peace.